can you do PLG and traditional sales, enterprise sales, from day one, or does it have to be in a staggered motion?
It's such a difficult question that is so custom to each business. You can, but I would caution you against trying to do both right away. Think in the early days of sales, you have to be very, very clear on what is the value prop for the customer and what is that experience. And when you try to combine PLG and a sales motion, often what happens is customers get confused and sales reps and your sales team more broadly get very wrapped around the axle about the mechanics of who gets credit. And that's one of the harder things when you're trying to piece apart PLG and sales. It's like, who really gets credit if people sign up on the website, but then a salesperson closes a deal with them? Should they get credit? Should they get comped? How do you work that out? And when you introduce both too early, you introduce the risk of complication. So I think a much more effective model is if you're going to start with PLG, you've got to focus instead on customer enablement and customer success. And it might include elements of selling, but it's got to be success first. It's got to be engagement first. Otherwise, if you're just trying to go at commercialization from two different angles, everything gets messy.
So I love that in terms of kind of PLG and tailor that with customer success and enablement. There comes a time when you do want to layer on traditional enterprise sales. Respectfully, it sounds like you waited quite a long time with Twilio. It could have been done a little bit sooner. My question to you is, for founders listening who have the PLG model that's working, how do you know when is the right time?
I think that there's no one clean answer, and there's also rarely a way to know in advance. And I am a big fan of testing. I think that sales should be approached in an iterative way that is similar to software development. And when you've got a PLG motion, one of the things you can start to test is if you put somebody on that relationship, you put a human being in the mix, can they actually get more revenue from the customer in a way that the customer also is happy with? Can they solve a problem that can't otherwise be solved? And if you can add those two experiences together and get a better outcome, then that's when you should do it. And the only way to know often is to start to experiment with that and put somebody in the mix and see what you can drive. I think a lot of it too comes down to who's your ICP? Who are you selling to? Because if it's SMBs, you can be PLG all day and they're going to love it as long as you make their life easy. But if you're trying to sell into an enterprise, I am pro PLG in the enterprise, but you've got to have some sales folks to back it up as well because they always have needs that cannot be automated away.